Gamers sure do hate walking sims, don't they? I mean, just look at the user review section of any walking sim game on Steam. But why though? Overall, the games in this genre are pretty much considered critical darlings, right? Unless maybe that's the problem? Because what serious gamer takes gaming journalists seriously anyway? Damn hacks who tell me it's immoral to support Ubisoft or Activision anymore? They didn't abuse me! But to make a long story short, gamers just hate it when their medium changes even in the slightest. Especially if it means that their audience might change with it. And if there's one genre that helped redefine what gaming could be, it probably is the walking sim. And I mean, it's not even really change, is it? It's supplementary at best. An influx of new people enjoying our beloved medium in a different way. I know, it's heresy, right? Burn the witches! So, that was my video then. Gamers hate anything that's different because they're gamers. So, that's it for me then. But I'm not just gonna leave it at that, of course. If gamers can get pissy about a specific sort of game just existing, that doesn't happen to appeal to them personally, then I sure as hell can rant about that, right? I will give you discourse, damn it, because it's the internet. So eat it! Just eat it! The easily most contented criticism hurled at walking simulators is that they're not real games. I mean, you could ask 10 people about what makes a video game, and you might get 3 to 4 wholly different descriptions of what a video game could be. So, walking sims not being games is really more of a matter of personal opinion, and a hugely flawed one at that. But yeah, if the lack of the shooty bangs or any other sort of action in your game makes it not a game, then yeah, I guess walking sims are not games then in your incredibly narrow definition of what a game is supposed to be. But I'd like to contend that that is kinda the point of walking simulators. They're not supposed to engage you through action and extensive gameplay loops, but what they lack in traditional gameplay, they more than make up for with engagement through narrative and their stunning environments. And if that doesn't suit your taste, fine, then just move on and let other people enjoy what they like. I mean, if you wanna argue that they're not really video games, then go ahead, I guess. Call them interactive fiction then. And to your dismay maybe, but people are still going to call them games at the end of the day. One, because the interaction is arguably the most important element of a video game, and one that is still present in walking sims. And two, it's just more convenient to use in conversations. And if that makes you angry, then the problem is probably you, to be quite frank. Because that's gotta be one of the most banal things to possibly get mad about. Like, it's totally okay that there are games out there that are not catered specifically towards you. I promise you. This does not take away your Assassin's Creeds or Call of Duty's. They will still be there for you to enjoy, and they are not going to stop making them as long as they keep selling. So why do you care so much about these games existing? Let people just enjoy games that offer narrative over action. It's okay, honestly. There. So, if it wasn't already entirely clear from this whole diatribe, I myself am actually quite fond of walking simulators. Even back in the days when I was still playing games on my Sega Mega Drive, I was already dreaming of how this medium of video games could be so much more than it was back then. And in a way, this was already starting to become apparent even then, with the rise of interactive movie-type games and the burgeoning popularity of point-and-click adventures. One, of course, being more successful in the long run than the other. You only need to go back to 1993 to see what was arguably the first quote-unquote walking simulator, namely Myst. Even back when it was released, it was being lambasted by gamers, despite it being a blockbuster hit for the then burgeoning CD-ROM multimedia industry. They said it was not a real game, but just a fancy photo slideshow, and that its audience, wait for this, weren't real gamers, but rather old people and the women. I mean, sound familiar? Now, I can already hear the cacophony of many a mechanical gaming keyboards clacking away worldwide, as you say with the benefit of hindsight. But that's not fair. Myst was a true game, because it had puzzles and gameplay that these walking simulators lack. Well, to that I say, have you actually played a walking simulator? I mean, sure, a game like Dear Esther lacks traditional gameplay elements and is more an exercise in narrative than it is gameplay. But you only need to look at games like The Music Machine, Infra, or The Vanishing of Ethan Carter to realize that that isn't always necessarily the case. These games do offer puzzles and thinking exercises in order to advance the story, and even pretty open, non-strictly linear areas to explore. In that regard, these games actually have more in common with the point-and-click adventure genre, which has been a staple in gaming since early computer gaming. So, are you gonna dismiss those as non-games as well? Don't answer that, I already know the answer. But you shouldn't! Even though these types of games have brought in an influx of new and a different type of gamers than the usual action-focused gamers, you shouldn't just dismiss them, as these types of narrative-driven games laid the groundwork for current cinematic story-driven action games like Uncharted or The Last of Us. They were one of the first type of games to experiment with story and a cinematic presentation. Things we take for granted nowadays, but that these games basically pioneered in a way. LucasArts adventure games had to learn to walk so that Naughty Dog could run. As for the reason why walking sims click so well with me personally, well, I'm somebody that just likes to be visually engaged. This extends to my real life hobbies as well, as I'm somebody that just likes to appreciate the beauty that I find in everyday life. Whether it be the serenity of nature's calming beauty as I go on walks, or just fawning over impressive pieces of architecture. And for me, walking sims entertain that part of my brain that enjoys these things, to the point that I don't even really need a traditional gameplay loop to engage with to enjoy the game. The beauty, serenity, or even otherworldliness that these environments provide can be enough for me to enjoy them. For me, games don't always have to be mentally taxing. In fact, sometimes I just need a game to be relaxing in nature, so I can just take in the beautiful environments without having to feel like I have to be on my toes at all times. And if that means that it happens to bring people into gaming that aren't particularly interested in high reflex action games, then I welcome them. Because I still believe that games can be more, and this also means that they can offer more than they currently do. More diverse but still interactive experiences that can be engaged with in less traditional ways. I also feel that it's these types of games that allow developers to tell the kind of stories that would be unfitting for an action game. Just look at a game like Brukel that I took a look at in my previous video. Its portrayal of living in wartime is something that just couldn't be done in a AAA action game, or not yet at least. Same goes for stories about loss, abuse, or depression. Sure, these themes can sometimes appear in AAA games, but they're never going to be the sole focus. Simply because if it did, they just wouldn't sell enough to satisfy the big money men that run those companies publishing those games. But because of their smaller budgets and therefore lower risk, these indie productions can get away with themes like this easily. And just like is the case with movies, these indie offerings offer us more variety besides than just what the mainstream provides. After all, would you say a drama film is not a real movie Just because action-heavy blockbusters happen to rule the box office charts? I'd like to hope not. The diversity I see in the available library of games right now, I consider it a beautiful thing, and it should be celebrated instead of derided. If it brings in more people that start to realize that games can be more than what they previously thought they were, it can only elevate people's perception of gaming and rid it of its negative aura. Because put simply, if we want gaming to be taken more seriously as a medium, we need to accept that we can do more than just action-heavy AAA titles. So, that's it for me then. But remember, if you like my content, then please subscribe to the channel for future weekly content, and don't forget to give the video a like. And if you want to support the channel in growing further, then please consider donating to my Patreon for early access to my videos, lots of extra content, access to the Discord channel, and having your name appear in the credits right here. But if you don't want to be chained down by a subscription model, then you can always donate just one time on my Ko-fi, both of which are linked right down there in the description. Well, thank you so much for watching, and see you all next time!